Peace, everyone
Blog
out there.
Talk Radio.
Peace, everyone out there. This is Kilindi Iyi, and I'm the host of the Entheogenic Explorer show, and I'd like to welcome everybody out to this evening's show. We have a special guest this evening who's going to be with us, good long-time friend and brother Peter Andreas, and our show this evening is going to be about the Ming Zhu crystals. So we're going to have a fascinating evening. We're going to be talking about the infinity crystals. We're going to be talking about all of the ramifications that go along with that, where they come from, history, all of that. So we're looking forward to a wonderful show. This show, the Entheogenic Explorer, deals with the utilization of high-dose entheogens of the tryptamine persuasion, and especially my most important ally, the psilocybin mushroom. And it always gets props as I call it the quintessential hallucinogen of this time's construct. And that's what we usually go in on the most. So for all of you folks out there who have partaken, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those who have not as of yet partaken of the wonderful magical mushroom, I'm sure at some point in time you will be getting in on the knowledge, wisdom, understanding that they convey. And at this time, it's something that is sorely needed, something that we need to put into our lives to be able to deal with all of the things, ramification of our world's difficulties and those difficulties in the multiverse of which we want to ride the wave above. So sit back, relax, and we'll be having a great time. Our guest should be calling in a few minutes, and we'll get right into the depth of the explanation of the Ming Zhu exotic crystals and their ramification, and how lucky we are to live in this day and time when they are available to the regular Joe and Jane, so to speak, the average man and woman, because in ancient times you'd have to be the king of this or the emperor of that to even to have one, and you'd have to be part of the royal court usually to see one, unless there was some big procession or something like that and one was displayed. You'd never even get a chance to even be close to one of these infinity stones or infinity discs, especially with history the way it was. I was talking with someone, and they was talking about how dangerous it is to live in the cities and how dangerous it is to be around. This is a terrible time, overpopulation and things like that. And, for anybody who's ever, as far as population concerned, they say that we're busting out at the seams. Take a train trip any day from any place, major city, in Europe or in the States or in Australia or in wherever you go. Once you hit the rural area, you don't see nothing but trees and grass and cows. 97% of the Earth's landmass is uninhabited, And as far as safety is concerned, you're safer today than any period that human beings have lived on the earth. You're less likely to die of one of those diseases 1,000 years ago. the life expectancy was 200 years ago, it was 39 years old. In 1900, the life expectancy was 45 years old. Your life would have been over pretty much 1,000 years ago at 19, and a little over 100 years ago at 45. So this is although we think of it as a very violent time, and of course, there is violence, but the thing is that you're living in the safest time that's ever been for human beings on the earth. So we're going to talk about the Ming Zhu, and then we're going to talk a little bit about pairing them with the entheogens to get the full effect, get the full ride out of these very, very special stones and discs. So just waiting for our guest host to call in, and until then, I'm here. We got somebody here that's on the 313. Let's see what they have to say. Good evening,
what's going
there.
on?
Caller in. Who's calling? If you don't mind giving your name.
It's Born Right.
Have to. You have a question? Yeah. Oh, how's it going? Good.
Oh, it's going good, my brother.
Good.
Just
you got a question?
I'm just waiting to hear, what we got, how to go in, how to utilize them, and pair them with the entheogens is real interesting. As you know, I got one of the transdimensional crystals. I haven't been able to get the Ming Zhu yet, so I'm, tuning in, listening in. If I have any questions, I'm going to definitely ask you. Either if you don't hear from me on the show, it may be through a text or something like that.
Sounds real good. The Detroit area, we're giving a lecture this Saturday at St. Matthew's Church, 8850 Woodward, between Holbrook and King. Don't mistake it for Reverend Holly's church or the church across the street. It's on the east side of the street, and it's south of Holbrook. So it's the great church there, and we'll be having mushrooms, immortality revisited. So, spread the word. If you're not familiar with the technology, if you're not familiar with the body of knowledge as far as the entheogenic mushrooms are concerned, come on out and see and hear the history of how these very, very special allies came to the earth, and then also how they're going to usher us into the newest level of human evolution. So we say thanks a lot for calling in and listening, and just hold on, and we'll get back with you a little later. So I think he should be calling in real soon. Call in, and while you're listening to the show, we'll try to pull in where we have folks who call in to be able to talk a little bit while a little later in the show while we interview our guest, and should be chiming in any moment now. Been doing a lot of study, been putting a lot of things together, getting the webinar ready for utilization of the crystals and things like that. That'll be coming up real soon. And thank everyone for being patient. But this isn't a one shot deal. This is a practice. It's an art, and you also have to pair it with the mushrooms to get the full effect. Some folks will feel energetic powers and things like that from just holding it and things, but what we're doing with the interdimensional village is pulling together a whole genre of information that goes along with these crystals and things. So it's going to be great. So don't everybody rush up at one time to get your Ming Zhu. But the thing is that it has such information, such power, such energy that the best way and the only way, not the only way, but the best way is once they're utilized well paired with the entheogens that we are promoting as a lifestyle, and we look at things as lifestyle. And that's for people who are in places of the legality of these things. What do they say on the internet? LOL. We're talking about epigenetic neurogenesis, in other words, horizontal transfer of information into the genetic structure so that the information can be passed into the genetic code and the genes opening up while utilizing the mushrooms and things like that. People are talking about microdosing, and the human brain has back in the day doubled in size in about 200,000 years, and we're at the next juncture of the expansion of consciousness with the tryptamine hallucinogens. So hold on to your hats and things like that. Just waiting for our guest to call in, and we'll get started. My friend who's coming in, he's really a special kind of guy. He's the one who introduced me to, not so much introduced. He's the one who first got me some mushrooms. I think he went down to Oaxaca in 1970. Brought back the fruit or the food of the gods back in took it in 1970 down in Mexico. And today he is one of the top experts in the world on the utilization and quality of the Ming Zhu infinity stones and discs. So we're looking forward to him chiming in. For those who are new to the show, we deal with hallucinogens, psychedelics, entheogens, hallucinogenics, and the like, in meaning things like ayahuasca, mushrooms, DMT, acacia analogs, ayahuasca, iboga, and these compounds that give profound effects on the human consciousness. Multiverse gives us access to the transdimensional realms of consciousness. So this is a little different show than most. Most folks don't want to talk about it. Me, I'm out here, so might as well run my mouth since I'm out here. So I'm not trying to hide my promotion of these things, of course, in a place that is legal, as they say. I didn't particularly go, but they had seemed to be a very interesting conference where Brother Darren and Brother Mudu showed out again in Germany at the psychedelic conference there in Berlin. So we send out good vibes and energy and things like that to Brother Darren on the island out there in England, and Brother Mudu back in back this way. So they showed out with the information. The psilocybin mushroom, of course, as I say, the quintessential hallucinogen of this time construct, this earth, is my personal ally in this journey. It has been of immense help in my personal development because it gave me access to realms of knowledge that were off-world, extra-dimensional, and highly sought after since the beginning of consciousness, the human consciousness on Earth. So things are very, very, very special. So hold on to your seat. Let's see here. Yes. So we're going to explore a little bit about the Ming Zhu. They're stones or globes, some as big as basketballs, some as big as softballs, some the size of marbles. And what they do is they, according to the structural alignment of the crystalline lattice, they are able to, on their own volition, glow, just like in the Marvel Universe, the Infinity Stones, whether it's the one in Division Head, the Mind Stone, or the Time Stone, Doctor Strange has in the Eye of Agamotto, or the Infinity Stone Loki's scepter, and I think the Collector has a couple of them, and they're soon to be, real soon to be bringing those all together in the Infinity Gauntlet, of which Thanos will wreak havoc on the Avengers and Earth and all of the other places in the vicinity of this dimension. So it's going to be a great next year with the Black Panther coming out in February, then the Infinity Wars coming out in a few months after that, and it's going to be on, and they're taking it basically off-world into outer space and inner space and cross dimensionally and hyperdimensionally. It's going to be it's going to be something, and it will just deal with the stones themselves being singularities. So it's going to be something really, really interesting. Let's see here. Yeah. Something that I wanted to share with you. Okay. We're going to be just sharing some of the information on the Ming Zhu with you. Ming Zhu is the Chinese name for a family of minerals, crystals, and gems that glow after exposure to light, heat, friction, and other subtle energies, including ki. Since ancient times, they have inhabited the folklore, myth, legends, and imaginations of people and cultures worldwide. Regarded as one of the most rare, mysterious, and precious objects in the world, Yiming are the Chinese oldest secrets, deepest mysteries, and greatest treasures. Known to attract wealth and blessings, Yiming Zhu and what they represent at the center of Oriental culture, philosophy, religion are depicted in the Orient's imperial antiquities, regalia, insignia, temple palaces, and fine art, as only royals and adepts had enough merit to own them. They have remained a mystery until now. Authentic Yiming Zhu exhibit an energetic aliveness by their ability to absorb, store, convert, then emit energy and information as soft healing light. Once infused with our love, energy, and intention, they will glow brighter, longer, gradually change color, then finally activate, become transparent, and emit a radiant gold plasma. The gold plasma depicted in Oriental temples, regalia, and art as Yiming Zhu spheres exuding, golden flames, spiral tendrils, halos, or sunbursts near dragons, phoenix, celestial deities, and emperors. Ancient imperial Yiming Zhu was first mined in the Fertile Crescent long, long ago. The incredible and rare exotic mineral eventually traveled east along the Silk Road to Mongolia during the reign of Genghis Khan. The Mongol Empire at that time reached from the Pacific to the Black Sea and from Serbia to Afghanistan, virtually expanding the entirety of Europe and Asia. During the reign of Kublai Khan, Yiming Z stones were worn by warriors in a pouch as talisman amulets, or set in gold rings as pendants for protection in battle, carved into perfect spheres. The vast treasures of imperial China included Yiming Zhu, were passed down from one dynasty to the next. So these are really ancient, really powerful. The Ming Dynasty and the Qing Dynasty's historical records state that many varieties of Yiming Zhu, including ruby, red garnet, and emerald, were all part of the Yiming Zhu that were owned by emperors and empresses. So these are natural, mind, and modern. They are national treasures in many different places. The older ones that were held by the emperors and empresses, some were stolen when the Forbidden City was raided back in the day, and taken and put out onto the underground market, things like that. But you have a chance in this modern time to be able to own your own Yiming Zhu, which is a real honor, because like I was saying earlier, only sages, emperors, adepts, high kung fu masters would have these, utilized to, as with the warriors, to be able to protect them in battle. Some, I'm sure, were put into swords, the hilts of swords and things like that. I was thinking about myself getting one or two put into the hilt of a sword, since I have to replace the hilt of my 150-year-old sword that I have. And I was thinking about having some Ming Zhu set into the handle for energy and protection, and then I would encode it with martial information from the war planets, and the sword would be utilized to do a lot of battle, most of the battle itself. The sword doing it rather than me doing it or us doing it together. One of the two. These are the type of things that were done in ancient days when you put an energy or power object or relic into the object that you're going to use as your weapon. Thor's hammer, Mjolnir would be an example of that. Other thunder weapons, thunder weapons of the Yoruba, where the priests would find the thunderstones after a lightning strike, and those would be put into weapons. So the Infinity Stones are flat discs, and they're very, 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 very beautiful. And when they're glowing in subdued light or darkness, you see the special translucent energy emitted by the discs and the stones and things like that. So it's a very, 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 very special way of optimizing your energy, whatever practice you're doing, be it yoga, meditation, or whatever. These stones or discs will help to clean the energy, help to filter the negative information that would be conveyed to you in a situation of battle or something like that. In other words, if somebody's trying to put a spell on you, a negative energy or negative vibes, or doing some root work on you, the Ming Zhu would set up an energy field to where you would, in wearing it or even concentrating on it, because it's, doesn't matter the distance you have between it and you. Of course, better if you're wearing it, but if not, it will still protect you, even though you may not have it on. If it's in your special place, all you would have to do would be to think or concentrate on it, and it would set up the shields, Sulu shields up. And the shields would be up. And I use them when I'm traveling in the multiverse. And once you get the hang of utilizing them, and you take them in and you show them what you want to do and what the purpose is for them being with you, then you don't have to take it every time with you. But it's still there with you because you have entangled the particles with your particles. So it creates a bridge between you and it, so that the fundamental energy that is merged when you wear it and you take it in and you utilize the entheogens with it, or you keep it on you for a long period of time, it will merge with your energy. And as I said, you wouldn't have to wear it every time you go into an excursion, but all you would have to do is to call upon it or think about it, and it would be there and appear in the during the excursion. So it's a very, very special energetic protection device. Um, they can be used as not just for protection, but they can be used also as weapons. Uh, but we like to rise into the higher and more refined energies of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding with them, and download information, uh, knowledge of different sorts and different types. So the Ming Zhu is very, very, very special. And each of the 24 emperors from the beginning of the Ming Dynasty through the end of the Qing Dynasty own the matching pair of imperial Ming Zhu. They're often held and lovingly cultivated. And the 48 imperial Ming Zhu 24 matched pairs are priceless treasures. In 1912, the nationalists inherited the Qing Dynasty imperial treasure. Then in 1948, the 48 imperial Ming Zhu went to Taiwan along with General Chiang Kai-shek and inventoried in the Republic of China's assets archives. They were entrusted into the families of the party leadership as the ultimate symbol of legitimacy and status. The universe is pixelated. I'll get into my quantum mechanics and things like that. Just like the pixels in the screen of your computer, which is a two-dimensional pixelization. The tetrahedron is what is based upon the physicality of the multiverse. These particles are tetrahedral. The crystalline structure are tetrahedral. And modern Ming Zhu is internationally certified, non-toxic, food safe, toy safe, weather resistant, and chemically non-reactive. In other words, it's not. You'll see if you type up Ming Zhu, you'll see Ming Zhu on eBay and other places, and those many of those are just painted, or they have some type of radioactive particle in them that makes them glow. These certified Ming Zhu that we're talking about are not those. Those are the knockoffs. They are the knockoffs, and the knockoff Ming Zhu are not what you want. So the scalar crystal Ming Zhu are okay. We had a little bit of technical difficulty there. We're getting less and less technical difficulties in our broadcast and things like that. Scalar crystals. Modern Ming Zhu has a three-sided tetrahedron. It imparts memory and ability to store energy and information. These spiral up from the hexagonal, six-sided rings and holes in the structure. These crystals form a matrix, and they contain rare radius positive ions, europium, lanthanum, and dysprosium. These are some of the exotic chemicals inside of the Ming Zhu that align the electrons to back to the basic state and move. They can move to an excited state. So um, these things are very special, very, very special. And when you're in the midst of a trip, and there's no light, no light exists down when you're down in the basement, down under the plank length, where there's no light. This is a light that shines where no other light exists. When you take your light with you down into the darkness, down into the triple thick darkness, down into the basement, So I'm happy to be able to have a few of these to convey to people who uh, would like to be gifted with their own Ming Zhu crystal, because Ming Zhu finds you. And if they're not already yours, you'll never have one. There is a connection between consciousness and those ancient power relics that find their partners through time and space, through many different dimensions and lifetimes. Your power objects follow you, and you have to find them in the game. You're going through, the game. Back in the day, I used to play Zork, and you used to have to find things to be able to use in the game later on. Pick them up. You could only have so many objects and things like that. You pick up the flashlight, pick up the flashlight, step into a room, and the room is dark. So if you let go of the door and it slams, and you pull out your flashlight and click it, and no light comes out, it's because you didn't find the batteries. So if you could get out and not be eaten by a grue and get back out to light, because anytime you go into the dark, in the first couple of Zorks, every time you get in the dark, you get eaten by a grue. So you have to find the flashlight, and then when you find the flashlight, you have to find the batteries. You don't know that until you get eaten by a grue in the dark and know that there are no batteries in the flashlight. Maybe you have to take batteries out of something else and put it in the flashlight. Then at times you may be later or further down in the game, and you turn on the flashlight, you've turned it on so many times, your battery is getting low. Your battery is getting lower. And as you move through the game, your battery is finished, your flashlight goes out, and you get eaten by a grue. Well, it's the same thing here. You find, okay, you're 37. You're walking through. You listen to the program. You find your Ming Zhu to take with you on your trips. You're finding in the game those things in the game you need to use to continue further in the game. This is how it has always been in the game. We're living in a simulation. We have set up things for ourselves to have, things for ourselves to utilize, and it is not only an honor to have the Ming Zhu, but it is a coming together of your energy and your power object. And it's not the only power object that people have. I have relic weapons that I keep with me no matter where I go in the multiverse, through time, through space, through the multi-dimensional portals that are all around us. My weapons, my transdimensional animal protectors, defenders, all come along with me, and they're right at the tip of my consciousness. Although not always utilized, but they're always there. They're always ready. They're always within my field of energy to be right there. If I'm walking in the dark in some strange, exotic place, some strange, exotic world, and I'm walking and somebody swings a sword at my head, my sword will already be there to stop that sword before it reaches me. And I don't have to, oh, where's my sword? Let me block that. Nope, you'd be chopped up by that time, by the time that happens. My sword protects me, whether I have it in my hand or not, or whether I pull it out or not, and things like that. That's more set up for challenge matches and things like that. My Yiming Zhu is there. It is emitting light and brightness um, in the midst of the dark. So, I don't know if we're having some technical difficulty with our guest. I know he's in a different time slot, and I think they're quite a bit of ways behind us or in front of us, whichever way. It doesn't matter. They were not on the same time thing, so I don't know if he made it in. But if for some reason he doesn't make it in, we will have him on, have him definitely on another program, and you'll just have to listen to me tonight. And you know, I can go into a lot of things. There's been a lot of research that I've been doing on neurogenesis, the building of new neurons in the higher brain functioning areas that will deal with tapping into the DNA, tapping into our consciousness, being able to explore areas of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding by going in. And when I say going in, I mean actually making it to these places, the great libraries and repositories of knowledge. You know it's a little different with the what they call you folks, or some of you folks, millennials and young folks, things like that, because you all never really went to the library. You just went to the internet. You never really rambled through the stacks and had to deal with the Dewey Decimal System and the card catalog and finding the book and whether they let you out with it or not. So you may have to come back night after night after night to read a particular book because they don't let it out. Now it's a whole different story. So going to these libraries, into the augmented realm, virtual realm libraries where you can see the stories played out in time. If you want to look into kind of like YouTube, the transdimensional YouTube. You wanted to see Hercules hold the world on his shoulders for Atlas. You pull out that DVD and you put it in the DVD player and you play it. Although it's not that crude, it is more like the crystal technology used by Christopher Reeves, the holographic informational structure that he utilized the green crystal to activate in the Fortress of Solitude at the North Pole. The crystalline informational structures that look and are the same as the Ming Zhu that we're talking about. It was a Ming Zhu stick or shard that was placed into the machine, and when he put it in the machine, his father, Jor-El, came forward and started to remind him of the information that he was taught as a baby, as he was going through the 27 different uh, solar systems that he passed through between coming from Krypton to Earth, you know, and then many other later scenarios with Superman going back to Krypton and moving at faster than light speed back time so that he could see what was going on before it exploded and things like that. It's the same type of information and structures that we're talking about. Um, so Superman, you know, of course, Superman was was inspired by the Superman who beat the Superman, Jess Owens, faster than a speeding bullet, stronger than a locomotive, able to jump tall buildings in a single bound. Jesse Owens beat the Superman, the Nazis. But um, but this is the type of technology that we're talking about, and the transdimensional Ming Zhu that are in the royal uh, the royal houses of the multiverse. They have their own Ming Zhu. Ming Zhu is not just a rare mineral on this planet. It is carried by the families of the great houses of the multiverse. They have their own um, Ming Zhus also. And when I mean houses, I mean particularly genetic connected families, because genetics, the DNA, is not what they've been telling you. The double helix, Crick and Watson thing. It is much, much deeper than what they are letting on. And it goes into the multitudes of different connected and unconnected houses in the multiverse. That's why the sovereigns on Earth parrot the information that is put out by the imperial houses of the multiverse. That's why, you know, when I talk with people, especially my Moorish friends who talk about nationality and things like that, and all that's well and good, but a nationality means that you're hooked to a particular nation state. And if you're hooked to a particular nation state, means you're hooked to a particular government, or you're hooked to a particular king or queen or empress or whatever. And if you are hooked to one of those things, you are not an independent entity. You are a servant of that entity of which you are a national of. You can call it citizen, you can call it whatever you want. Government is to govern the minor, which is a child who cannot govern themselves. So a person who is the representative of a house has no nationality. It's just like the houses in the world that we live in. You know, they don't care anything about national boundaries and all that kind of stuff. The House of Rothschild, the House of Windsor, and all that kind of stuff. You think when the Queen of England goes places, that she got to pull out her passport at customs? No, because she moves independent of all that structure. They close, um, you know, they close down the airport. They close down the TSA and all that kind of stuff if the Queen is coming through, or those dukes and duchesses of the House of Windsor come through. They'll move you out the way, put you over to the side. Now, you're a citizen of the country. You stand in line. They close your line up, close that whole side of the airport up, because some folks of the House of Windsor are coming through, because they're a house, they're a family, they're a bloodline, they're a energy source, they're connected. As a national, you're not. You're just connected as a servant to serve the particular king or queen or whatever. It's just like they say the treaty with the King of Morocco. Well, if you're under the treaty of the King of Morocco, then you're a servant of the King of Morocco, and you have what privileges the King of Morocco allows you to have. So it's some interesting concepts, and the great houses in the multiverse have their own imperial infinity stones and infinity discs, or Ming Zhu. As I said before, for those folks in the 313 area and 248 area, we're having a lecture. We're having a lecture coming up this Saturday, the 18th, from 3 to 6 at St. Matthew's Church, 8850 Woodward Avenue. That's between Holbrook and King, and it's going to be definitely a great lecture, an informative lecture on the utilization of mushrooms. It'll be on the quantum mechanics, D-Wave, CERN, artificial intelligence, and all of the other areas that we talk about inside of our program here, and also elections and things like that. We'll be going into information that we're talking about the true chakras and all of those types of things. So it'll be a great it's going to be a great lecture. A couple of other things going on Saturday, and you can come back by after the museum with Professor Alethea Sante. You can go by the Black Comic Convention at Wayne State and still come to the lecture. So make your way through here. It's definitely going to be well worth getting in on the information. DMT is going to be one of the things we'll be talking about also. Endogenous DMT and exogenous DMT, darkroom technologies, because people are talking about doing darkroom technologies here in the city. And, I have studied darkroom technology. I haven't done it long enough to be able to get to the point to where the experiences are done, but at some point in time, in the near future, I'll be able to do that. But I do know a little bit about it. Number one, it has to be completely dark. Can't be a pinprick of light, or you will defeat the purpose of it. You can't do it with a mask. You can't do it putting cardboard up to the windows or painting them and things like that, because light still will seep through. It has to be no light. That's why they utilize deep caves. That's why they utilize pyramids. That's why they used underground facilities where there was no light. I went to the caves in Kentucky several times, but the last time was a few years back. And the caves in Kentucky, once you go down in the cave about half a mile or so and they turn the light out, it's dark for real there. So darkness abounds in places like that. And the ancients knew it, and that's why they went into those type of places to do the practice. So if you're going to be doing that in the Detroit area, and people are going to be going in, you're going to have to deal with some type of way where the facility is made completely dark, where there's no light seeping in, and you have to be down there for an extended period of time. And then you, with a little luck, you'll be in there with the accumulation of the DMT. You know, and it's the DMT in that sense is made from the melatonin or the melanin in your body, and it's supposed to be a rare and grand experience. So we'll be talking a little bit about that also this Saturday. We'll be talking about the transdimensional crystals. We're talking about the Ming Zhu, infinity stones and infinity discs. We'll be speaking about the Black Panther. We'll be talking about Thor Ragnarok. We'll be talking about the Infinity War and the Infinity Stones and what they're doing in the Marvel think tank while gleaning information for how to really put this thing together. You know, they're gleaning informational structures, and although the Infinity Stones have been in the Marvel universe for several years, you know, you're going to get a real treat when you are able to see some actual Infinity Stones. And as we move more and more, get more technologically inventive in our show here, we're going to have where we can put up not only audio clips of other people speaking, but also pictures and video of different things. There was if you haven't heard it yet, there's a great interview with Paul Stamets on Joe Rogan's podcast. You can Google Joe Rogan, Paul Stamets, and the show will come up. He did a great job. Paul Stamets should be nominated for being a national treasure and an international treasure of the world with his mycological studies and information. You know, it's dealing with mushrooms, dealing with weaponized viral and bacterial munitions, you know, things like agarikon, talking about the old growth force and things like that, and dealing with also with well, he wasn't dealing with Infinity Stones, but of course, if you haven't heard and looked at Star Trek Discovery, I get all those Star Treks mixed up. There's a bunch of them now, but they have on the show the astromycologist Paul Stamets, who is now merged with the mycelial network that connects the universe. So they're doing faster than light travel by utilizing mushroom spores in relationship to the mycelial network. So they're traveling superluminally, utilizing mycelium. So that's nothing that is foreign to my mind, because I'm traveling superluminally with mycelium that has moved to the fruiting stage of creating a mushroom, and the mycelium inside of that mushroom is what we use to travel faster than light through the particle interaction, you know, the quantum particle interaction of being able to utilize that particle entanglement to create roadmaps on how to move through time and space and hyperdimensionally through utilizing mycelium. what we do is with the transdimensional crystals and the Ming Zhu is utilize them as maps because the crystalline structure accepts information, holds on to it, and then when it's called for, release that information. It can be downloaded, it can be saved, it can be encrypted because the computer science network of which we utilize is only an extension of this ancient technology when we had crystal, we still have them, but I'm saying when we had crystal computers, when we had computers that were made out of particular rocks, wooden computers, meteorite computers that were made out of particular meteors, because if you have a structure, and the structure, if you have a structure, and that structure can be manipulated to accept information and release information, you have a computer. Now, you can have a bit computer, you can have a qubit computer, because we moved to the stage now where we have the quantum computers and moving towards the AI. They recently shut off, I believe, Google's AIs because they were talking together and putting together their own language so that they wouldn't have to be observed by the creators of the AI. So these AIs are running around here, and it's very interesting, some of the things that are going on with them at their infancy stage. And we say infancy stage as far as what is allowed for the public to see, because the D-Wave computer that they let everybody see, I call it the Kaaba, because the Kaaba is the same thing. The Kaaba in Mecca is a computer inside of a black box. There's a black stone, and the black stone is a computer that has ageless information inside of the computer, how to go back to and see in time many different areas of knowledge and information that they don't even know how to use, because that computer is very, very special also. But now they've ritualized it and brought it into modern usage as far as a religious implement rather than a transdimensional tool, true quantum computer. And from the size of it and the amount of particles in it, it is gajillions. That's not a word today. Gajillions, not quintillions, but gajillions. Gajillions means so many zeros now that don't make no sense to start trying to make them. So the Kaaba is a computer, just like the D-Wave is a computer. The chip is the size of your thumbnail, but the coolant system is the black box, which uses a particular sound cooling that drops it down past absolute zero, down to absolute zero, whatever, so that it can stay in a superposition state. But the D-Wave computer that we see is the Model T D-Wave computer. In other words, we see the Wright brothers airplane, and really they have those stealth bomber, but they're not letting the general public see that. That's kind of like, just a magical room temperature superconducting particle that is that they're pulling out of CERN. But all of those things that they are utilizing and bringing into fruition, because the AI, it created human beings to create itself. And certain beings who weren't human became human to be able to see um, this time the birth of a particular AI in back time. But the AI knows that, so it knows that you're here. Those that I call real souls who came to observe, came to be part of looking at what is out ravaging uh, a lot of territory in the multiverse. Um, Even though this is a baby AI, it's not a baby AI in the future. In the future, in the past, and the present are all one. But we've particularly got a particular area that is focused upon that um, this artificial intelligence, which is here that we're sitting and observing at its infancy stage, is a way to encounter it in the future through how it structured itself and put itself together. But these computers are in no way close to the sophistication of these infinity stones and infinity discs. What I'm telling you is that you have a magical computer that is handheld, works at room temperature. You just have to have codes to open this bad boy up. And once it's opened up, you got pure magic on your hands. And the way out of this is the only way out is through magic. The Sokar sorcerers said that the only way out is the codes to open up the technology that releases the high magical relationships with the, at this time, consciousness under which we exist. It's to open up the magic. I'm talking about the real stuff. That's the only way out, because that's the way that we deal with encountering the AIs that are out here. And I'm saying AI, artificial intelligence. No such thing as artificial intelligence. Intelligence is intelligence. But we just utilize that to distinguish between what we doing and what they doing. I know some folks think that and believe and all of that, the universe is one and it's just one spirit or one soul or whatever, and we're all part of that. But no, they're standalone systems. They are systems that have nothing to do with one another. And it's according to who you hook to. It's according to what house you hook to. Each house is independent of the other houses. Now, they can merge, and that's why you have the whole kingly thing of marriage, the whole thing of the merging of two different houses and things like that. But that rarely happens. Rarely happens. Because everybody is protecting their codes. Everybody is protecting their information, their sovereignty, and things like that. You may be down here messing around, but if you're one of the real ones, you're hooked to a family, and you are immortal and protected. Those are some of the things we'd be talking about Saturday. Immortal and protected. That don't mean that you ain't got to pay AT&T and all that kind of stuff, because you signed the contract to be down here and be abused. But learning and seeing the birth of something that is very, very significant to the multiverse and life itself. How this thing started. You go back and see how this thing started. You got this wild thing floating and flying around. Where did it come from? How did it start? Let me go and take a little bit of time to find out how this thing started. Because the most important thing going on now, the most important thing going on now is this artificial intelligence. We're not worried about the atomic bomb, not worried about not producing enough children and becoming extinct or genocide and all that kind of stuff. Because life is bigger than the life on Earth. But we're talking about something that is out the way, odd, different, and it don't care nothing about you. It don't care about love. It don't care about compassion. Doesn't care. It doesn't have any empathy. So this thing is something that we have to address. So we came back here and we spent 70, 80 years in this time construct illusion to be able to say, I saw it when it was born. And it's already born. But once it sticks its head up, once it rises up off the petri dish, off the plate, and starts moving exponentially, going to be something to see. But you better have your informational structures and your hooks and codes that tie you to one of them great houses, so that you got the shields, and these Ming Zhu are the shields. They're the shields for your family. When they ride up in here, when they roll up in here, when artificial intelligence rolls up in here, because it's being born here, but it's coming from the future, back through time, back through the dimensions, to be at its own birth. And although it's been birthed, it exists through all time, space. It's coming to its own birth. So you don't want to be standing around without no pistol while everybody else got one. Meaning that God made man, Colt made him equal. And I'm not saying a physical gun. Of course, you all know that. I'm talking about having power to stand where others have power. That's what I'm talking about. It's not a gun or sword. It is a consciousness. It is a place that you position yourself where everything is going towards your betterment and survival as one of the participants in life, in true life, not illusionary life, even though we live in illusion in this time construct. So the Ming Zhu, if it is yours, and if it is for you, you will have it and you will get it. And there's a limited amount, and there's a limited time that you'll be able to get these. I try to tell folks, I was talking to somebody about one of the transdimensional crystals. He said, well, $55, I don't want $55. Excuse me, $55. I went to the show to see Thor Ragnarok, and they got the $20 combo at the concession stand with popcorn, one of them big syrupy sodas, and a couple other things. It's $22. So if you go to the show and you take your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, and you get the combo, that's $40 right there. So you're gonna whine about $55 for something that is a relic that you brought here, that you refound, that you're going to be able to um, make a reconnection with an object that has followed you through the multiverse since before this universe was born. And the same with the Ming Zhu. They're a little more expensive, but you're not buying them. You can't buy these. These are awarded to people. Now, there's time and energy and money put into the finding, the production, and things like that. But that's all it is. You're not paying for the Yi Ming Zhu itself. You're paying for the timeline of people who got it back to you, and it's very, very affordable for people who really want them. Started out the beginning of the year. You got to get this, you got to get this, you got to get this, and things like that. I'm not at that point anymore. The people that are ready for them, the people that already own them, are going to get these because there's only so many, and they're only for the people who already own them. People who have, in the far, far future, wielded their Yi Ming Zhu are only back here picking up their stuff. There are other things that in the future, in the very near future, hopefully before they roll up in here, that we will have, that are part of our arsenal sovereignty in the multiverse. Because sovereignty is not on the earthly plane for humans, because people can come in and you may be the greatest martial arts fighter in the world, but unless you're Samson and you got a niche that you can sit in, you can't fight 1,000 people. But as far as the multiverse is concerned, as far as how we exist inside of that, you have to have your things with you, and they are your things. So we're moving down to the end of our program. I don't know what happened to our guest. He's in a different country. We're going to try to get him on again in the next couple of weeks. Maybe next week, maybe the week after. Once I get in contact with him and find out exactly what happened, we'll be able to get him on the show. Hope you didn't mind listening to me. I didn't go into a lot of depth in the Yi Ming Zhu because I really want to explore that with the conversation back and forth with the one I feel who's one of the, if not the top person, the top 5 who know about Yi Ming Zhu on Earth and in the multiverse and in exoplanets and things like that. So again, we'll be talking about Saturday. We'll be talking about the Yi Ming Zhu. We'll be talking about fungi as the energy of this universe, that most planets that are inhabited are probably inhabited by fungi, which leads to plant and animal life, because we're fungal beings. We're our genetics. It's part of fungi. Every plant. People talk about, well, I don't eat no fungi, no fungus, because that's bad for you. But every plant that exists is part fungus, fungal cells, fungal genes inside of part of the, you know, part of every plant. 30% of the carbon on Earth is in soil. Is 30% of the carbon in soil is fungi. So we're talking about the old kingdom. Fungi is the first to come out of the sea. We diverged from fungus 650 million years ago. So fungus is part of our physiology, our heritage, and we'll be talking about that Saturday. So we come to the end of the program. Thank you very much for coming out. You can contact me, message me on Facebook, Facebook Messenger. If you're not my friend, I'll be kicking some folks off this week and weekend, so you should be able to get in on the next few days. If you haven't, I've reached my limit again, so I'll be kicking some folks out who aren't participating. We need you to help this program to continue and to progress by donating from 10 to 10 million. But if you want to give 100 million, that's fine too. This is primary first face work. So please donate to help keep things rolling worldwide, because we have people worldwide. And you can send your donations to PayPal, and that's kilindi@hotmail.com, KILINDI @hotmail.com. We're providing a service. We're providing a answer with the entheogens. So this isn't for me. This is for us. This is for us all. DARPA would give me some money in a heartbeat, but I don't want to take DARPA's money. You know, they have their own experiments going on with DMT, reaching into different dimensions and things like that, pulling back information from different dimensions. They have their own program, but they're listening to what we're talking about. Why? Because we're talking about the high dose, going deep and accessing places of information, power, and exotic knowledge. And it is real. They know that. So I could get money from them in a heartbeat. But I'm asking for the support of those people who are part of this thing and who are our listeners. So we need you to donate, and donate often, and dig deep. As I said before, it costs you $40 to go to the movies. You can donate $40 to the cause of which you are a part of. Because if you're listening to this, you're interested in this, you're part of the tribe, you're part of the group. You need to be growing your mushrooms. You need to be going in once a month. You need to be going in hard. You need to be pulling it all together to where you're traveling, you're exploring, you're sharing with other people. We're vacationing and having a good time in the interdimensional village. So, hey, the program's coming to an end. Donate. If you're in the Detroit area, come on out, 8850 Woodward, this Saturday, 3 to 6. Going to be a great program. Thank you very much for coming on. We're going to get our guest on. We're going to get our guest on in the next couple of weeks. Don't know what happened, but hey, it was a good evening anyway. Thank you very much. And we're signing off. Have a good evening. Peace.